In this video, I'm going to explain how to find the present value. I think it's a good idea to explain the whole concept of finding the present value in two cases. Case 1, if you have a one cash flow occurring at the end of year 1 or year 5 or year 15, how do you find the present value? That's the case 1. Case 2 would be, instead of having one cash flow, you might have multiple cash flows. Cash flows for 3 years, cash flows for 5 years. In that case, how do you find the present value? So let's get started. So I want to start with a very powerful formula, which is future value equals to present value times the compounding factor, 1 plus r to the power n. So we can rewrite this function. So when we rewrite present value in terms of future value. So the formula is saying that if you know the future value and if you know the compounding factor or the value of r and n, you can find the present value by dividing the future value by this 1 plus r to the power n. By the way, 1 over 1 plus r to the power n is called discounting factor. So, for example, you know the future value after a year, then what is the present value? You simply divide this future value by 1 plus r and the power is 1. Next example, if you know the future value after year 2 or at the end of year 2, what is the present value? You simply divide the future value by 1 plus r to the power 2. So next example, if you know the future value at the end of year 3, what is the present value then? 1 plus r to the power 3, right? Very simple. So if you know the future value at the end of year 4, what is the present value? Simply you divide the future value by 1 plus r to the power 4. So this is the concept we are going to use in this next few examples. So here was an example. So in this example, you're getting 200 after a year and interest rate is 5%. What is the present value? Very simple. As we said, what you can do is you can divide the future value by 1 plus r and its power is 1 because you are taking back by one period. So if you divide the future value by 1 plus r to the power 1, which is going to be 190.48, that's the present value. I think this is simple. Let's go to the next example. And in this example, now same example, again extending the time period. Now I have 200 that is coming to you after 2 years. Then what is its present value? So remember, you can divide this guy by 1 plus 5% a to power 2, right? And then get back to the present like this. So you divide this by 400 by 1 plus r to the power 2 and it brings to the present. So which means $200 in 2 years is the same as 181.41 in the current year. So let's get to another example. So in this example, instead of 2 periods, I have now how many periods? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 periods, right? So you're getting 200 in 5 years. What is the present value? Remember the formula, right? If you know the future value, right, 5 in this case, right, you divide this by 1 plus r to the power 5, it gives you the present value. So this is the way we calculate the present value. You know the future value and you want to find the present value and you want to bring back by 5 periods, so you divide by 1 plus r to the power 5, right, which is 156.71. Very simple example. So now let's get to more general example, in which case we have multiple cash flows, which is the case 2 in my initial explanation. So here instead of having one cash flow, we have three cash flows, right? 100, 200, and 500. Now I'm asking you, what is the present value given that interest rate is 5%? So remember, like earlier, you can bring back to the present. You can bring back to the present by dividing this guy by 1 plus 5% to power 1, because you are just bringing one period, and you can divide this by 1 plus r to the power 2 because you are bringing two periods, and then you get the present value. Whereas this guy 100 is already in the period, right? So here, this is how you do. So 200 divide by 1 plus r, which is 5%, then you get 190.48, and 500 divide by 1 plus r to the power 2, right? And this is 453.52. You don't have to adjust this 100 because this is already in the present. So what is the total then? Total present value would be sum of all these, right? 100 plus 190.48 and so on and so forth, which is 744.00. Let's see another example. In this example, we have five cash flows. Here, I want to emphasize here for future use, I'm introducing you the negative cash flows, which means you are paying the cash. This is cash outflow, whereas this positive means this is cash inflow coming to you, whereas this negative means coming, it's going away from you. It's a cash outflow. So now you have five cash flow. How do you find the present value, right? Remember the technique. Now you can individually discount, right? Individual discount and sum them all. And how do you discount? You simply divide this your future cash flow per by 1 plus r and to the power number of periods. So for in its case, we can discount it. For example, to find the present value of this 300, you simply do what? 300 over 1 plus r to the power 4, because you're discounting by 1, 2, 3, 4 period. So the value is 256.81. Similarly, I have discounted for each of these, and what is the total then? The sum of all. Again, you don't have to do this anything for 100 because that is already in the present. So you sum them all, and that's going to be 99.73 something, and I just wrote 4. Alright, so this is how you do. So what I want to do this, I want to do the same example again in Excel. In Excel, I already have the plugin numbers. Remember the cash flows from our slide, minus 100, 200, 500, negative 800, and 300, right? So I have already plugged in this number here. Now I want to find the present value. Remember, to find the present value, you divide each of these cash flow by 1 plus r to the power whatever the number of periods. Whereas the current period is concerned, this is already in the present time, so you don't do anything, right? Just leave that as is. But the first one, now you have to discount that, right? Just to discount, what do? You have a cash flow over 1 plus your rate of interest 5% and to the power number of period, right? And that cash flow is coming after one period, so I'm going to put 1 or this guy. That means I'm discounting one period, right? So if you want to see the formula text again, you can use this Excel formula text nice function to display functions, right? So I have a formula text here. So I calculated the present value for this 200, which is 190.47. And now similarly I can calculate the present value for this 5, which is coming after two periods. So you have to discount by two periods, right? 1 plus your interest rate, right? And its power is going to be, your power is going to be 2, right? So this is how you calculate the present value. Remember, in these two cases here, similarly you can do it for all of these, but I'm trying to explain some other concept here. So in these two examples, the interest rate, which is the discount rate, is the same, right? So why would I do individually if I can do for one and just copy and paste? So the interest rate is same. So what you can do is you can fix that interest rate, which is the B1. The sale number is B1. This is fixed for everybody. So I'm going to fix that by putting this dollar sign. You can fix it. And now, okay, you have the present value of this 200. Now you can grab on this small handle. You can just double click it, or you can just grab it and drag down. So it gives us the present value. See, present value for each of these. Let me make this red for all of this. So this is a present value of each of these. And now if you find the sum, all right, then you just find the sum of all these, and that gives us the present value, which is 99.73. And if you remember from our slide, this is exactly 99.73. I just for some reason wrote 74. So no matter what technique you follow, you do in Excel or uh, the usual math way, you get the same value. But I want to explain one more concept here. See, you can find the present value of each cash flow and add them all, right? That's one way to do it. But Excel also has another powerful function, and I'm going to show here using NPV function. Okay, using NPV function, how do you find the total, total present value, right? So NPV function, what it does is it discount all the future value. So in our example, the cash flow in the current period doesn't need discounting. So that 100 will not be the part of NPV, but all other cash flows will be the part of NPV, and we add this 100 at the end. So how to use NPV? Maybe some of you don't know, but Excel has a nice way to do it. As soon as you write equals NPV and bracket tells you what goes in, right? It says rate, okay, the rate is 5%, all right. And what values you want to discount? Then you start from here. Period 1 first, and then period 2, 3, and 4. So that gives us the discounted value of all future cash flow, but you don't need discount for that 100. So you just would do plus and 100. So by doing this, all right, we get the same number, right? Okay, I will show you the formula so you just remember like how you use it, right? Formula text, and right here, see how I did that? NPV and the rate and all your cash flow from period 1 to, like I just want to highlight different color, period 1 to 4, and at the end you add the current period because that should not be discounted. So see, there are multiple ways you can find the present value of future cash flows. One, obviously straightforward, you can simply find the present value of all future cash flow and add them all, or you can use NPV function, which is very handy and we will be using in the future, and just add the current period cash flow. All right, this is how you can find the present value of all your future cash flow. Thank you.